Hi, this is Danielle in Growth Marketing, and I'm here with Hila, leads the product growth team, and we are talking about the different definitions for conversion and starting to work to clarify what these mean for different people so we can come up with shared definitions.
Yeah, definitely. So I talk with Dara from marketing operation, just trying to understand the overall flow and understand how growth flow and marketing flow fit in. This is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just put this together this morning. So there are leads. Leads are typically any email or contact information we captured so that we can, those are potential customers, but we have their contact information so that we can reach out to them. My understanding is that those are typically captured via Marketo leads form.
Mm-hmm.
And then leads need to qualify to become our MQL. So basically we need to enrich the leads data so that we have more background information, and then we score them. They need to be 90 points or above. Basically, for example, if it's maybe it's like the size of the company, or they did a multiple interaction with GitLab rather than only kind of contact us once, they download a white paper and listen to a webinar, whatever, just kind of certain activities that can earn points. And once they are above 90 points, that's called MQL. And from there, MQL need to be pre-contacted by a team to further kind of qualify them. And then only the most qualified ones, maybe like SQL, are hand over to sales team. Those become opportunity, and from there sales team need to close them into revenue. That's my understanding. Like, is that consistent with yours or anything wrong there?
Well, there's one missing piece that I think is really important and I think is what's creating the confusion. May I take over the screen so I can screen share?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. And then we should totally update your graphic.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just looking at the front page of GitLab right now, looking at the call section.
Uh-huh.
What you just described is true if people click on the get free trial
Yes.
call to action. The
Yes.
place where that we're missing right now is when people click on register.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I think I'm in incognito, so it's going to take a second.
Yeah.
These signups do not go into Marketo. So all the people who just decide to directly register, and because this is in the most prime call to action position in the entire website, it's probably, I don't have the metrics, but I would assume it gets a fair amount of traffic. This is going straight to a free account, straight to our freemium experience. Today, these get saved in MailChimp. They don't go into Marketo. They don't become MQLs, and they don't get any nurture emails. And that is a big project that my understanding when I started this role was, we now have permission, in quote, to figure out what permission means, permission to email these people. And hopefully if they're checking this box, and we have to find out what percentage of the people in MailChimp have actually opted in, we'll start to contact them. But this is basically a whole group of users that don't get put through the marketing process today. And what's happened is MailChimp was kind of our original email sending service for GitLab way back in the day. The size of the database with MailChimp has become so large that we pay 6 figures every quarter just to maintain it, even though we don't email people. So the dream situation would be to use Marketo as a single source of truth. Even if we put them in Marketo and they don't qualify for anything other than like our basic nurture and newsletter, we just have everybody in one place. So this is kind of a bit of from the marketing perspective, like this is a cul-de-sac. So like these are contacts. We want to talk to them. Like they could have buying intent or have needs and probably should be educated further on GitLab. But right now they fall outside of the group of people that marketing talks to. So this probably would be called contacts. It would probably be before leads.
Okay.
And we should ideally, have them in that diagram that you showed me before the lead step. And everybody who gives us their email address, no matter where they are, should probably go into that bucket first in an ideal world.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. So those people, my understanding from Dara is that they don't directly go to Marketo. Do we do anything? Do we do anything with them? We just
Until a few weeks ago, I think the company's position was we wouldn't even email them because we thought
okay.
they were like part of the open source community and wouldn't want to be marketed to. And that decision was reversed, which I think is a good choice. And the goal is like, we're not going to market to them very hard because we assume they probably don't have strong buying intent if they want the free account, but we could at least send them like educational drip content to just get them to use more of the product.
Yeah. So from growth perspective, where we care is that some of those customers directly sign up to a paid accounts.
Right.
They actually there is a quite some percentage. There are some percentage of customers they are ready to actually sign up for a paid plan. So they create account, they sign up for a paid plan, or some of those free accounts they sign up for a paid plan. My understanding is those then become they are logged into Salesforce.
Correct.
So they bypass Marketo as well in that case. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think
or they were synced backwards into Marketo.
Backwards. I think that's new, but I think they are now syncing backwards. And the percentage, by the way, is very high. I think Sam Awazek told me it's 35% within the first 72 hours or something like that.
Yeah. Interesting. So, but there are a big bucket of customers missing, which is like they sign up for free. They are not touched by marketing basically, and we want to capture that.
And also, I think the question is, so we have roughly 500,000 monthly active users on GitLab.com who are free. That's at least what I understand. I need to check these.
The latest is 700 actually. 700K, 730K.
Wow. So because we have been doing this for so long, the question I also have is just what percentage of these people who are using GitLab for free have we just never talked to because they bypassed our kind of marketing process because it just didn't exist when they signed up. And so is that, a bucket of opportunity, even at a very small scale, perhaps this is not a sales opportunity, maybe it's a self-service opportunity, but are there some very simple emails we could be sending, just letting people know what they could be getting at a higher tier?
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that they are still active is saying they are active, right? I would imagine we will probably have even bigger people who are not active anymore. You can still send an email to, and we can capture some. But even the active is 700K. I think that's saying we probably should be able to capture some of this. I think we talk about this is that we can do some segment and analysis on those 730K, right? Who are they? How do they how their profile compare to the paid customers? Maybe we can figure out a group that's most likely to convert to a paid plan because they look very similar to those who converted.
Right.
And we can also look at their usage behavior as well, and just to see that how they are like, are some of them more active than others? Absolutely. And the nice thing about that is growth and marketing can use that shared framework together. Whatever you experiment in email or wherever you see success, we can echo that in the product and vice versa. So that we almost like try to move those people along in product and then via email using those two as channels.
So there's kind of three buckets of opportunity here. There's re-engagement of people who are in our database and we have permission to contact them, but they're not active at all. That's great. We can activate them again. Then there's reactivation of people who are active maybe last month, but then not this month. And then there's conversion to paid, at some level. So those are kind of three I would say, one-off campaigns we could run on the existing base. And then I think the fourth piece is an ongoing drip campaign that we just want to roll out. That's probably very classic. Like it looks a lot like other SaaS, where it's just like introducing the different product experiences that we think are important for them to discover in the right order. And then that is something that I think that gets to be iterated on forever. We always are making that better and learning kind of new things. And actually, now I think of it, a fifth thing that I'm a little surprised we don't have, and I think we have in pieces, is a global newsletter that goes out once a month alongside our releases, just telling everybody who uses GitLab in any way
Yeah.
here's what's new. I think releases is just such a missed opportunity to reach out and get people, it's always the struggle is like what to say. Like
Yeah.
emailing people is easy, but figuring out what to put in that email so it's like really worth their while is hard. But releases are so cool because people actually usually want to see that stuff, and we have that today.
Yeah. So Mike, in retention, actually, we launched a MVC of what's new, kind of in-product announcement flow. So basically, it's similar to what you described, but after release, we have a button in the product you can click to see what's new, and that will just link you to the release page of what's new in that milestone. And we saw actually the visit to that page jumped considerably after that, meaning existing customers are curious about what's new. I think having an email echo that is a great idea because you can never reach 100% of your customers. And this is a very valid use case. It's not spamming. It's really, you should care about this basically, right? And I think in the different buckets you mentioned, I agree 100%. We can have an opportunity to do a one-off thing. I think the currently active customers probably is the biggest opportunity just because they are still active. We probably can learn from, like, we have highest chance of success there with that group. One thing, let me share my screen again. So I just updated my slides. So can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So what you mentioned is kind of this flow. So someone visited the marketing site, they sign up for a free account. I just learned from you this information is only captured in MailChimp. And that's it. It's like end. So I added this here. They don't go through this. So we want them to go through this. I think that make a lot of sense. Another thing I'm trying to figure out is that for self-managed customers or self-hosted customer, my understanding is that we have even less information of those customers.
Right.
If you go through the trial flow on .com, you want to download the self-hosted instance and start a trial there.
No.
Currently, I think you have to fill in a form.
Right.
So we force you cannot download without filling the form. So we force you to give us your information if you go through the trial route for self-hosted.
I think that's not totally true because if you go to the front page of the website, there is now an call to action that says install GitLab. And I believe if you go that route, you can just directly install without. So I think there's a philosophical. So I think I know the history here is that install and register got re-added back to the site as ways to basically get around the form.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a little bit of a philosophical debate underlying this of like how hard do we want to make it for people to access our products.
Yeah.
And I think with self-managed, it's not such a challenge because we're not spending money on the infrastructure to provide the service. So like if someone wants to go and not submit the form at all, like if you scroll down to the packages, I believe what you can do is take any of these. But I don't really think that's an issue because we're not spending $12 a year to maintain that user. But I do think for free users on GitLab.com where we're struggling, to justify how much we're spending delivering the service, I think we should not allow a path that doesn't include going through the marketing flow. So it's kind of different because of who benefits and how the money gets spent.
Yeah, I agree. High level, I think. Before this is new. This wasn't there. I think like even maybe a couple of weeks ago.
I think Todd added it as a result of a one-on-one with Sid, and I don't know quite all the history there.
Yeah, my understanding is initially we want to have everyone go through trial, and the reasoning behind that is we can capture their information. If you go here, you have to do this before you download, right?
So what what I'd like to do, I agree with you 100%. And I was very tempted to just write an MR, taking the other calls to action away and just having this one. But I feel like normally, like in all other things GitLab, I would do that. But I just felt like I did not have enough context for why this other stuff is up, like why there's 4 different calls to action at the top.
Yeah. So my thinking is, I agree. I think there is this balance between open source. We want to make it easy, and self-hosted doesn't cost us money. However, we ideally still want at least know who they are, right?
Yeah.
You can use it for free, but at least give us your email. One task Scott asked me to look at is how we can capture the information. I know before, without this install kind of route, you have to give us information in if you go through the trials route.
Mm-hmm.
But my understanding is that there are many other places you can download, install, or set up GitLab self-hosted instance rather than having to go through. It's just my understanding, maybe it's wrong.
Yeah. No,
you don't have to go through, right? There are many other places you can do that, and in those cases there is no information captured at all. So one of my question, maybe we can figure out together, or is probably a very hard one, is how we can potentially at least get some information, an email, right, from those customers. Then that become a huge pool of leads. It's not saying, even though it doesn't cost us to run those, but we ideally want to know who are using GitLab, and that become a huge pool of leads potentially we can mine through for the sales team, or like that's just valuable in its own. I don't know the answer to that one. I think now there's another route that even in this you can right, you bypass the form. Yeah.
I mean, I think that at least on our own marketing site, I think, and I'm going to have a one-on-one with Sid later today, and I want to talk to him about this, which is my fundamental view is that GitLab.com, like our website, its job is to capture intent, harvest that intent to grow the business. So like, while it's true you can like find other places to install GitLab, and like there probably are ways to register for free that we can't necessarily shut down, either because there's calls to action sprinkled all over it, or because there's package managers, off our website that also offer GitLab as a bundled installer or whatever. Our website doesn't have to make that easier. Like our website, we are allowed to say like the happy path on our site is through the trial experience, because that's aligned with our business goals. Even if we still need to solve those other problems you listed. But I think I'm reaching a point of conviction where I feel like, and maybe it's not free trial, maybe the language is get started for free. I don't know, like the button's slightly different, but I feel like getting the trial and signing in should be the only 2 calls to action in the upper right corner of this website.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I think trial, sign, register, install, those are almost like 4 ways you can get started, right?
They're all slightly different, which is so fun. And then Explore also, I think there's, again, probably history, but Explore, when you click this, it just takes you to a list of projects, and it's not curated. And that's what it does if you're logged out as well. I think it's pretty useless in that particular real estate. Like, I think if we want to have that, like, we could have that somewhere else. Maybe like in the drop down at the bottom, maybe like see some projects or something. But even then, I'd want to send them to like a list of projects that's actually like interesting to look at. Whereas right now it's just sort of this random set of projects, some of which are not even active. So
and I know we're out of time, but I think Jensen did some change on the not on pricing page, but the flow they sign up for paid directly.
Yep.
And his results was actually he increased the conversion rate to paid significantly.
That's awesome.
However, the challenge he faced is that the only way to sign up for paid plan is very deep down here in the pricing page. So not many people start that flow, even though the conversion rate is significantly improved. So that's another question, like I want to throw there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just flip the order, right? Like maybe we should plans first.
Exactly. So if we know 35% of new customers are ready to start, how should we think about the hierarchy in terms of Do we push them to trial first? Do we push them to paid first? Do we push them to sign up for free first, right? Like, I think there are some global optimization we can think about on this page.
I'm so with you. And I think that I love this conversation because I feel like when we talk, I can feel that we're very aligned in the
Yeah.
goals. So it's probably just that we need to do more of this, you and me, and then more like with the whole team. I think the thing I'm going to do as a result of this meeting, I'm going to have my call with Sid, and I think I'm going to write an MR to change the top right. Obviously, that's going to have some discussion. It's a big change. There's lots of things there, but I think maybe that we could use that MR to like as a place to talk about the different goals. Would that be I feel a little hesitant because I anticipate, I guess, that there's going to be a lot of discussion, but do you think that's an okay way to start the conversation with more people and we can kind of work through it together that way?
Yeah, I think so. I think ideally we should think about like what's the ideal way, but also back up with some data. Like ideally, this is something that should be able to be tested relatively easily, so we can capture how does the change impact people's clicks.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, that might also require me to get a little bit of baselining data first. So let me take a look at that. I'll start something. I'll probably send the MR as a draft to you first, and then we can kind of figure it out from there.
Cool. All right. Yeah. I really enjoyed this conversation.
I do too. I'll find us more time. Maybe if I can, I'll sneak in your calendar again this week so we can talk more.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, Hila.